Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to another movie review. Hope you guys enjoyed my Luca review. I am here to do Fatherhood now. I told you I'd do two reviews this week, and now we're doing the next one, which is Fatherhood. I just watched it today. Just did the Luca review earlier today, and now we're going to do Fatherhood right now. So, Fatherhood stars Kevin Hart, and it's on Netflix, and it tells the story of, you guessed it, fatherhood. It's about father and a daughter. The mother unfortunately passes away, and the father, played by Kevin Hart, now has to raise the daughter on his own. So we basically see him being a single father and all the troubles that he has to deal with, and all the hardships and all that, etc., etc. So going into it, seeing the trailer, I just wasn't that invested or that intrigued. I thought it had some promise, but I didn't know what to make of it, and I was also concerned about Kevin Hart, um, and because Kevin Hart, as of late, as a comedian, has been kind of repetitive for me. I found his comedy style to be kind of formulaic at this point. You kind of expect something out of Kevin Hart, and it's kind of getting old. And the same thing can be said for his movies. You walk into a Kevin Hart film, and you kind of expect a certain thing, and that certain thing is starting to get old really, really, really quick. So I'm glad to see that Kevin Hart is stepping out of his comfort zone and doing something a little bit different. This is not the first time that he did something dramatic per se. He did it with The Upside as well, which I thought was fine. It wasn't great, but it was okay. Um, so now he has something like Fatherhood, which is a lot more, because The Upside was a little bit more in his wheelhouse, and Fatherhood is more of the same, I would say, but it does have a little bit more going on for him as a performer. And we'll get to Kevin Hart in a second, how I feel, but I want to address the thing that I actually thought was the best part about Fatherhood. It wasn't Kevin Hart or anything like that. Um, I must say, and I was actually quite surprised, it's actually the atmosphere. Because the movie bathes in melodrama. It is very much a melodramatic premise, but it actually benefits the story really well. It complements the story wanting to be told effectively and creates impact on certain aspects, particularly in engagement. So I found that to be the best part of the movie. Very shocked by that because when the movie started out, I didn't know how to make of that. But when the movie ended, I was like, I feel tender. I feel kind of good inside. And I have to say, the atmosphere it created was the reason for that. Now let's get into Kevin Hart. As I said, I do appreciate that Kevin Hart is branching out, and I do believe that he is also kind of slowly starting to move forward in a way because I do see certain things in his performance that actually kind of work, but he still has a long way to go. I mean, long way to go. But I do appreciate his effort, and I do hope he gets more opportunities to stretch and get more comfortable. However, that all being said, though, I feel like he was miscast in this, and I do believe someone else needed to do this role. But I do appreciate Hart beginning to branch out. I just don't believe that this was the right role for him. The whole time he was on screen, I was thinking to myself, yeah, he's doing okay. I mean, admittedly, I think that he could have done better because I feel like he's sticking with a lot of his material, a lot of his comedy material, the way he talks, the way he moves. It's more or less the same. It's pretty much Kevin Hart. It's like a mellow Kevin Hart. Let me put it that way. That's pretty much what you're getting in with Fatherhood. It's a mellow Kevin Hart. It's not a complete transformation or anything of that sort. It's just a mellow Kevin Hart. It's like someone told him, just don't tell any jokes. Basically that's kind of what you're getting. Kevin Hart without the jokes. Um, and I just feel like someone else needed to take on this role. Because as much as I appreciate Kevin Hart's effort, I feel like someone else should have filled in that role, in my opinion. Um, and moving on to the negatives, I feel like the humor never landed for me. The film could have really done away with the humor mostly, because I felt like the melodramatic atmosphere kind of made the film more watchable when it was just that versus having the humor, which I felt really just turned the movie into a cliche Kevin Hart fest. Your cliche Kevin Hart film where it's just like this really, really bad humor that never lands. Um, and when the humor is gone and they actually stick with the atmosphere that they mostly have, that's where the film's strengths really show. Um, but when the humor's there, it does not work. So I think they should do it away with the humor. Um, the story is also as expected. It's very predictable. It's easy to follow. I would have loved to have seen more involvement in what it means to raise a parent, like to raise a raise a child. Um, like the hardships, the beauty, and the glory, and what it means to be a parent. All that stuff. I feel like that's personally. Sorry, my camera got out of focus. There we go. I feel like that stuff I wish was more addressed in the movie because it's more like father-daughter relationship, not much like fatherhood. I mean, they do show that stuff in the beginning, but it's not as in depth as I wanted it to be. Um, but as I gave Luca, I give Fatherhood the same word, which is harmless. It's a harmless movie. It's very much a harmless piece. It's like I said, while it is lacking the needed depth and really the good humor, and a more appealing lead, as I said, I think Kevin Hart. I appreciate Kevin Hart branching out, but I just don't think this was not the right movie for him. I feel like someone else should have been casted in that role. Um, but I appreciate the effort. I just don't think that he was as appealing, and I feel like he was just kind of out of his element in some respects. Um, so yeah, as I said, lacking the needed depth, good humor, and I feel like we should have had a different lead besides Kevin Hart. But besides all that, it solely bathes in its melodramatic and charming atmosphere, and mostly gives the viewer some satisfaction within that area to leave you on a decent note. Um, it really is harmless, guys, and I do think it's worth watching. And I I found myself at the end saying, "Hey, this is fine. I mean, this really is just fine." If you're looking for something much more in depth and more complex, you're not going to get that with Fatherhood. But for a simple, charming little piece that has a very, I would say, good atmosphere to it, an atmosphere that really complements the story, surprisingly enough, um, and some emotional engagement within that. As I feel like Kevin Hart doesn't really. I feel like Kevin Hart again. I appreciate what he was doing, but I just don't, or at least I appreciate the effort that he was trying to put in. I don't feel like this was the right movie for him. I feel like he was miscast. Um, but at the end of the day, guys, I left the movie saying I had a decent time, and um, and for what I was expecting out of Fatherhood, saying that I had a decent time, I think is probably a very good thing for Fatherhood because I wasn't expecting Fatherhood to be anything astronomical or anything huge, or as complex. I was expecting a simple story. I was expecting all these elements. I was not expecting that atmosphere though, and I was very happy to see that implemented because without it, I felt like the movie would have fell apart. But since it is there, it has its charm and it has its moments, and I think it's worth a watch. I really think so. I think it's something that it is it better than Luca this weekend. I think Luca is the better film you should see this weekend. But if you check out Fatherhood, it's worth the watch. It really is.